know what to ask. Well, I was struggling to get to sleep last night, and I was just thinking, I'm definitely going to ask Dhammarato about this.
In bed, you were struggling?
Yeah, it was a real struggle.
Were you taking the sheet and tying it in knots? That kind of struggle?
I was wrestling with my duvet. Yes.
Oh, you were thinking.
I was thinking, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking.
Is thinking a struggle? Or is it that you wanted to go to bed or go to sleep and you were thinking instead?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Do you recognize that you call that a struggle? And you know what the word struggle means.
Yes, so the struggling was the problem, not the thinking, really, maybe. And I recognize that I wasn't, I do this sometimes where I go to bed and I'm not actually tired.
Right.
But
you do it because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
That's the time to go to bed, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it's because sometimes I am tired, but and I need enough sleep, so I go to bed early. But my brain's not tired. I know it's a simple thing that everyone struggles with, but it's
All right. So actually, what you're telling me is that that's a good time to practice Anapanasati right then and there.
Yeah, yeah.
That in
Well, I
fact,
eventually do that. I eventually do that, but
that's what I normally recommend when I say take 5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah.
Immediately when you wake up in the morning, to start practicing right then. Most people think about what they've got to do today.
Yeah.
And what you can do instead is have thoughts about, wow, this is nice to just lay in bed for a little while. No place to go and nothing to do. That in fact, you certainly know what a snooze alarm is.
Yeah.
Do you have it set?
No, I just wake up usually.
Oh, so you don't have an alarm even?
No, I mean, no, I don't really need one.
Okay, so when you do wake up, though, almost no one gets up immediately. We wake up, and then we lay there for a while. Many people will turn the snooze on and then not get up until later, until you almost can think of a reason to get up.
Yeah.
Well, what I would recommend is that when you first wake up, that start to do Anapanasati to really wake up. Now, in fact, I talk about it in the sense of 2 kinds of sati: weak sati and strong sati. Weak sati means that, for instance, when Goenka says, when the mind wanders away, never mind, start again, and people recognize that the mind has wandered away, but they don't start again, that's weak sati. Strong sati is when we say, hot dog, never mind, start again. And it's the starting again that's the strong sati. So you could also say that waking up in the morning, when we first wake up, we wake up in a sense of not strong. The first thing that you notice, in fact, that's a good question. What's the first thing that you notice when you wake up in the morning? You probably don't know that. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, remember to pay attention to, why did I wake up? What was it? What stimulus? Was there a stimulus? What caused me to wake up in the morning?
What caused you to wake up? Okay.
Yeah, what caused you to wake up? And how strong is that wake up? An example of a really strong wake up is that you hear loud sirens, you smell smoke, and you see fire on the other side of the room. And you wake up to see the fire, and then you really wake up and you get out of bed. Never mind what you do when you get out of bed. You get out of bed really quickly. Sometimes that happens with thunder. That thunder can wake you up but it'll also get you up. It gets a lot of people up, at least 3 feet off their bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an important point about how do we wake up. And the reason that I'm mentioning this is because it has to do with your question about going to sleep.
Hmm.
So, this waking up period should take a time for about 5 or so minutes of practice to tell yourself how good this day is, how nice things are going to be, that you don't have to ask any questions, you don't have to get it right. You just lay there in bed and enjoy the moment. Wow, this is nice.
Hmm.
I really enjoy being alive. Take a deep breath, let it out, and just relax for a few minutes. You're awake now. And after a few minutes of that, then you can get up, but now you're getting up in a completely different frame of mind than you normally get up. Normally you get up out of bed after you wake up because you've got work to do, you've got a place to go, that you're not
Yeah.
getting out of bed because it's a really great thing to do. You're getting out of bed because you got stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yes. It's
I have
not
no.
mine.
It's not yours.
Not mine.
Okay.
I learned this from monks.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk about going to bed,
Hmm.
going to sleep. Does not happen when you go to bed, but you're supposed
Hmm.
to. From childhood, you were ordered to go to bed and to go to sleep. Well, children can go to sleep easy. Adults, they go to bed, but they don't go to sleep.
Yeah.
They read books, they watch TV, they eat ice cream.
Hmm.
Okay. So, what we're going to do instead of all of that is take 5 to 10 minutes to practice Anapanasati. When you get in bed, you say, oh, wow, how relaxed this is. I'm glad that I got into bed. I
Hmm.
feel good here.
Hmm.
Okay? You bring the covers up and say, oh, this feels so good.
Hmm.
Have happy thoughts about actually going to sleep. In a way, you've heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. Well,
Hmm.
actually, if you practice going to sleep, you will go to sleep. But what most people do is, like you were saying, is you get in bed and start thinking about tomorrow, thinking about all that happened today, and thinking
Yeah.
about far off into the future.
Hmm.
And now you call it struggling.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what you can do instead is and you can get into bed and do all kinds of things without having the intention to go to sleep. But for sure, when you have the intention to go to sleep, do it with Anapanasati, in the sense of no place to go and nothing to do. Even if I don't go to sleep, I can lay here for the next 8 hours and love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to go any place for the next 8 hours. Isn't that marvelous? Okay, so you start with that. And then we go into what I mean by pretending to go to sleep or practice going to sleep, in the sense of let the mind go empty, let the mind go blank,
Hmm.
don't have anything to think about because you've just had a bunch of wholesome thoughts, one wholesome thought after another, and that becomes too much work. That in fact, going to sleep is very much like going into second jhana.
Yeah.
And so you keep wholesome thoughts and let some gaps go into those thoughts with,
Hmm.
like, wow, here sleep comes. Oh, I really enjoy being asleep.
Yeah.
Now, these thoughts are completely different than, oh, I've got that test to take. Oh, I got to fix the car. Oh, I've got to go to the bank. Oh, I've got to do, I've got to do. And that's what normally people lay in bed thinking about. And then the next day they say, I struggled. You didn't struggle at all. You just didn't go to sleep because you had things on your mind.
Mm.
So the two-step process is to have really good things on the mind,
Mm.
and then start putting some gaps in there. Actually practice going to sleep. And if the mind starts up again, notice that and go through the process again to start having wholesome thoughts.
Mm. Well, I do try and fake it sometimes, and it does feel like I'm trying to get into that state of being a child going to sleep, and I'm trying to get there.
Uh-huh.
Get my
But
brain to
all of those
go there.
thoughts keep coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but
So
I also
let's
find the
practice on
process.
getting those thoughts out first and start having comfortable, easy, wholesome thoughts that you can repeat over and over again.
Mm.
A lullaby. Give yourself a lullaby. Everything is okay. Lullaby and good night.
Yeah.
Close your big bloodshot eyes. I mean, that's the adult version.
And there's another thing because I wear earplugs and I can hear my heartbeat, and it's really interesting. It's like almost I'm having to learn how to listen to my heartbeat and not get freaked out because it keeps speeding up. When I notice it's quite amazing. Like the thoughts I'm having are directly affecting my heart, and then I get worried about my heart beating fast, and then but then I can notice like then I can get it to slow down with some kind of sati or something like that.
Don't
Um,
bother with the heart. There
yeah,
is no, as far as the mechanism of the pump, the physical muscle kind of pump stuff, is never referred to in the sutras.
yeah,
That in fact, I used to think about that and worry about it when I was in India. Was why did they do the breathing and they don't do the heart rate? And the answer to that is that there is no physical mechanism in the mind that can directly change the heart.
right, yeah,
But there is in the breathing.
yeah,
That in fact it's wired up that way so that it has both connections into the mid cortex and
mm,
also in the back of the brain.
mm,
So that when you're not thinking about breathing, it comes automatic.
yeah,
But as soon as you
yeah,
start paying attention to it, you have
yeah,
full control over it.
right, okay,
Which, which brings, by the way, just the side point. Uh, there are mistakes that have been propagated into big deals that you're not supposed to control the breath. And that goes directly against the teachings of the Buddha, which says mindfully breathe in long. What does that mean other
right,
than to
yeah, yeah,
control the breath? You mindfully, you think about it, you control the breath, you
yeah,
take
yeah,
long
yeah,
breaths.
yeah. I remember people telling me it's like more you're noticing the breath, but that felt very weird. Like, because how it would be like,
That's like taking the wheels off of your car and then
yeah,
going to town.
precisely,
You ain't going to
yeah,
go nowhere. You got to touch the road.
yeah. I'm taking notes, by the way. I'm not just looking down. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
No. I used to have insomnia, kind of, for a decent period, but I struggle. It's a
do
kind of.
not call it insomnia.
Mm,
That is a word that people use when they're trying to make money
yeah.
off of your uh,
That's true.
struggle.
Yeah.
All right. That what you're saying really, and the reality is that you're not sleeping because you're thinking.
Yeah.
And we have to rest the mind to stop it thinking, and
Yeah.
then the sleep will come. Gosh, there's a big industry. People are having all kinds of pills and
Yeah.
barbiturates, and a lot of people even die because they're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So they take too many pills.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I took some Zopiclone back in the day. Just I only did I think a 2 batches, but I would just stay awake through it and experience the high, experience like feeling wavy. Yeah.
All right. So
But
now we can intentionally go to sleep, planning on going to sleep,
mm,
practicing and playing with go to sleep, rather than not going to sleep because you're thinking about something else. Start thinking about going to sleep.
what is the understanding of sleep for you? Like it's because I kind of understand that maybe you can get to a stage where you need less sleep, um, and you can replace it with just resting and meditation.
I don't care.
Is that real though? Is that
Yeah, I've come to a state in my life to where I don't care.
yeah,
I crawl into bed when my butt hurts. I can't sit here in the chair for very long. I've got a
yeah,
hip ailment. So
yeah,
I get into bed. I spend a lot of time in bed.
mm,
Sometimes I take naps in the afternoon.
yeah,
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I stay up really late. Sometimes I don't. But in
yeah,
fact, the normal habit would be to go to bed, go to sleep at about 10, and then I'll wake up in the night, maybe at 3, and then I'll go back to sleep, wake up again at 6, and go to sleep again.
mm, nice. Okay,
Very rarely are there any dreams. In fact, that's a
that's
big
interesting.
surprise when there's a dream.
Really, I find I had a dream last week actually about um the world flooding, like tsunami, and we were trying to run up to, and I like this dream because it's a very obvious one of those kind of like dreams that a psychologist would like or something. But like it's
Yes,
yeah.
that's also an important point.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that all I said was I rarely dream.
Yeah.
Now, the point of it is that the Buddha specifically said, do not give any effort or any thought to dreams.
Yeah.
That what he did say, in fact, would people burn all day and smolder all night, that would be the insomnia or not getting to sleep or whatever. That the Buddha, in fact, absolutely turns on its head Freud's book on
Yeah.
the interpretation of dreams. The
Yeah.
Buddha says, do not try to interpret dreams
Yeah.
other than recognize that there's just basic forms of dreams. One of them is that you're looking for something, and the other one is that you're running away from something.
Yeah.
Okay? What is there then but greed, looking for something, and ill will or fear, running away from something, being
Yeah.
chased?
Yeah.
And they're done while we're sleeping, which is ignorance. So there you have the second noble truth.
Yeah.
Of course, the Buddha is not going to have much to say about dreams. Just the second noble truth.
I know. They're so fun to talk about though. Yeah. They're just maybe it's entertaining to talk to people about your dreams. And last night I had a dream about like I was on the run from the government, and I was like having to hide in like kind of people's homes and stuff. But my dreams often go on for the whole night.
How,
It's like
okay, here's a
very
question for you.
linear.
How do you know that it was the government that you were running from? Was it also possible that you were just running from some big unknown
Yeah.
that you finally labeled as
Yeah.
government after you started to talk about the thing?
Yeah, that's probably true. It was people in cars kind of trying to,
Yeah.
you know, find me. But yeah,
But
I don't
we
know.
do that. We interpret the dreams by adding to them
Yeah, thinking about them.
in the wake, while we're awake. The same thing, by the way, happens to students who are in meditation. This is one of the major reasons for the injunction of don't talk to other students. Why? Because after the second or third day, people begin to have strange experiences that they've never had before. They blame it on the meditation. They want to go off and tell stories about what they experienced. And then later, what they remember was the story they told, not the actual experience itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a way to recognize that there are two components to a dream. The actual dream itself, which is dreamy, not very lucid, missing details, not real. And then there's the story that we tell about the dreams where we try to make it real by talking about it, by conceptualizing about the dream. And it's better not to do that. Rather, it's better to just remember the dream itself as a dream, not to go over, rehearse, figure it out, point things out, or any of that. Just say, oh, that was a dream, and I'm glad that I'm finished with it.
Mm.
There's a next level to that, and that is that sometimes we become lucid, sometimes we wake up and recognize that we are dreaming, and somehow or another, us humans, we want to continue the dream.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And one of the ways that we can handle that is by stop making the dream a dream that we can't control and start making some changes. An example with that would be those men in the car when you're in the dream, not the day after or talking about it or thinking about it, but in the dream itself, you actually go out to the guys in the truck in those black cars. Introduce yourself and stop being afraid of them. Whatever.
So,
use the word confront, but this is not actually confronting. You don't go out and confront the guys in the cars that are chasing you. You go out and introduce yourself to them. So if you're being chased by a bear, turn around and say hi to the bear.
and that's possible, is it? That's like lucid dreaming, right?
That's the lucid dreaming, and
Lucid
that's
dreaming.
what we do, is we turn it from the fear of being chased to the fearlessness of making friends with that which we were originally being chased by. Click my? Click.
Is it pouring there? Is it raining?
Yes, it's raining hard.
Yeah.
My son-in-law and stepdaughter just rode up,
Oh.
dripping, soaking wet, soaked.
Yeah.
And so I asked him if he was wet. Click my?
Yeah, okay. I just thought maybe I could ask, like, I mean, what do you think the purpose is, or why do we have, what do you think dreams could be for? I mean, why do you not have them, and why do I have them?
Well, it has to do with burning by day in the active
Smoldering.
mind, and smoldering by night. And when we're dreaming, we're not getting good rest.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
But there's actually 3 levels of sleep. One is a light sleep that we happen, let us say the old man is reading the newspaper and slowly the news and he goes to bed, but somebody shuts the door and he wakes right back up. So that's the first, we can call that a light sleep.
Yeah.
Because any noise or any sensation can bring us out of that state. All right? And then the middle level would then be called the REM, which is referring to rapid eye movement. And that's also what we refer to as the dream state. It's when the mind is still active, but not paying attention too much to the outside environment. But in fact, there's a number of stories, a whole lot of stories. I got a whole bag full of stories about how sensory input will be taken into the dream. And one of them, And this was in a cartoon out of the 1930s, but I remember it very specifically. They're on board of a cartoon ship, and this guy is asleep. And his teammates on the boat, the other guys, take a feather and tickle his feet with it. And he has the dream that a cat is there.
Mm.
Okay, that he brought a cat into the dream. All right, so that's one example. Another example is that we hear a noise like an alarm, like a let us say an air raid or sirens of some kind like that, and we'll add it to the dream. It doesn't wake us up, but it did have sensory input, but not enough to bring us out of the dream. Okay, and then there's a deeper state of sleep, which is best known to be restorative, and yet it's simply something very much like the light dream, because the light dreams are actually quite restorative. A good example of that, I've got several famous people, but one of them was the President JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who was shot in 1962. Okay, you know who I'm talking about. And whenever he had a moment, like he was riding in the limousine, or he was traveling on a plane, or he was just sitting at the office, he would take a shoe off and then hold it by the heel with one finger, so that the shoe was sitting like this, or even on the little finger. And when the shoe drops off, it hits the floor, possibly hitting his foot, and that'll wake him back up. And so he would give himself these little naps to get restorative, because those light sleeps that can be brought us out of easily is also another way of saying that the deep sleep does the restoration, but it doesn't shut off the senses. So someone can actually be deeply asleep, and they hear the cat, they hear the alarm, they have their foot tickled. And they don't add it to a dream because they're not having a dream, but it will wake them up. So there's two kinds of sleep states, the very light state and the very deep state, but both of them are better than the REM state, the rapid eye movement that's associated with dreaming. So both of them give us better rest, but when we're dreaming, a lot of people, in fact, I watch the dogs when they're dreaming, and it's really funny because they're on the chase. Woof, 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 like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's being asleep, but it's not being rested or restorative, but it's actually out on the hunt.
Yeah.
And that happens with people a lot too, that when they're dreaming, they do a lot of body movements.
Yeah, I think I probably do, because my sheets always end up scattered when I wake up.
Okay. So much about dreaming. Don't pay much attention to it, other than when you are dreaming, wake up to it. Wake up either to control it or wake up out of it.
Yeah.
And normally when that happens is when we first wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
That in fact, that's something that the scientists know too, is that many people dream right before they would wake up. It's part of their waking up process. For the deep sleep, they wake up into a dreamy state, and then they'll wake up altogether, and they either remember the dream or they're dreaming the dream lucidly. And so this is something to start watching for, so that you can begin to control the dreams and begin to stop them, like waking up. So if you can wake up in the night, you can bypass that dream state and just wake up. You're in a deep state, but you don't have to pass through that murky, smoldering time.
So kind of, so let's say I'm in the dream, and what do? I become aware. I become aware that I'm dreaming, and then
I'm aware of your dreaming. There's several different ways that you can do that, and that is because often our thoughts are about something real, to where the dream is almost always something symbolic, and
Yeah.
fall into two classes of either being chased. So it's possible, though, that you can have a dream that is almost wakeful. And so you can then make the choice by examining it. Is this real or not? Because I've actually dreamed code.
Yeah.
Actually dreamed fixing a web page. And as I was in that dream, I came to realize there is no web page anything like that. That I'm dreaming a web page and putting problems on it top. And right away, coming right out of it.
Mm.
So that's an example, is that is what we're thinking about real or not?
It's weird. I mean,
Oh,
also sometimes I find that I come up with solutions and I have like amazing insights in my dreams.
right. So pay attention to that too,
Yeah.
because in fact, those amazing insights are something that's real.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Often it does feel like I'm in a dream. It's like a alternate reality where I am having the things that I'd like to have in real life, but like in a more sense of like like the music I'm writing is like or I'm hearing is like really wow. It's like I've never heard anything like that. So I think I'm quite attached to dreams in a way. I like,
Okay.
I like them.
Well, in a way, you could say then, let us say that we're talking about a famous composer from the past, because in fact, the story that I'm about to tell happened to both J.S. Bach and Beethoven.
Yeah.
That the dreams that they were having were not real because the music that they were listening to had never been written down or played. It was brand new. It was not real. But they would both wake up and write it
Mm.
down
Yeah.
and have a new
Yeah.
hit piece.
Yeah. So yeah, they got there in time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But that example of the code that I was dreaming about this code, and it had errors on it or didn't work or something like that. And
Mm.
when I woke up lucidly to enough to recognize, wait a minute, there is no page like that. Doesn't exist.
Yeah. So the dreams are they happening? Can we say that they're happening because the things that they're symbolizing aren't being recognized or
Go
oh
back to that point,
in
burning
life?
by day and smoldering by night.
Right.
Composers will burn with their music all day and then will smolder with it by night.
So what's a better example? You just like put out the fire with water or something? Like what's a good like how would you
Yeah,
what's the other side? Wake up.
wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up first enough to change the dream, and
Yeah.
then second, wake up enough to throw it out, which is really taking control of the dream. Wait a minute, that's not real. Think of something better.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's an important subject because it's like half your life or half my life.
Yeah,
You know.
it's kind of funny that we know how to go to sleep when we're children, but we kind of forget
Yeah.
how.
It's weird. It's just I find that what I do now sometimes is like last night I solved the going to sleep by just like I don't know, which I usually find helps is just being very awake, like and keeping my eyes open. And then I find that like then my eyes will be like, oh, I'm actually tired, and then I'll go to sleep, you know.
Hmm.
But
Well, that's an old hypnotic technique. When
yeah,
people are
is it?
going through a hypnotic suggestion, they'll say, well, you can keep your eyes open. There's no worry about that. But the eyelids will get heavy. Then we'll go off and talk about an elevator, and then they'll say, and the eyes are now getting heavy. It's okay to close them if you want to close them. Then people go off into that hypnotic suggestion kind of state, which is actually really very much like a dream, except that we're still taking in the suggestions from the hypnotist. That in fact, to be really honest with you, that's what a guided meditation is.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
hypnotic induction if the people who are doing the guided meditation know what they're doing.
Yeah,
If they don't, they just call it a guided meditation.
yeah. Which is different to being mindful of your own kind of volition. It has a different effect.
Are you talking about a guided
A guided
meditation?
meditation.
All right. I would say that the reason to have a guided meditation is to help people come out of their delusional thinking back into the meditation.
Mm,
So one of the things that we do when we get started and get the people into it, then we be quiet for a while and
yeah.
watch body movements. And when they start to get a little bit agitated or whatever like that, and then we'll start speaking again. And when the mind wanders away from the breath, never mind, start again. And I always have people who will come up and say, my mind wandered away just at the moment when you said,
Yeah.
okay, and guess what? You don't know that, and they don't either. They could have been off and wondering for 2 or 3 minutes before I spoke up. But when I spoke up, that was what reminded them to wake up and to recognize that their mind had wandered away.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, but there's not much to say in a guided meditation. Now, when I
Mm,
was doing
no.
Goenka's guided meditation, there's a whole lot to talk about, mostly naming body parts,
Yeah.
starting with the top of the head and then moving your awareness around your skull and then down the back of your head
Yeah.
and then into your face. Have you taken a Goenka retreat?
No, I was actually thinking of doing one 'cause, like people were recommending it to me. I might do one because I don't know if there's anything similar, like the 10-day meditation sitting. I don't know. But yeah,
Oh, wow, there's a huge industry now.
yeah, I'm sure.
A
But I don't know if
huge,
there's
huge industry. A lot of them are out there making money. They're bed
yeah,
and
yeah,
breakfast
yeah.
with
But
a
but
voice on.
but Goenk is like a donation, so I could probably afford it.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
prefer going to
yeah.
Amaravati, regardless. Amaravati is the best place, I think, because it's holistic life. It's not just sitting, you know, doing chores
Mhm.
and stuff.
Yeah, normally when people think of a retreat, they think about being in silence for 10 days and sitting all day long in a
Yeah,
particularly uncomfortable posture.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what
But
do you think about Goenka retreats?
well, I lived with him for nearly 3 years,
Oh, did you? Mm.
like 1980 to 1983, that period of time.
Oh, wow.
Did a lot of retreats, traveled with him, went to Hyderabad and Jaipur and Igatpuri, which is the main base.
Wow.
Did a lot of retreats, 20-day retreats, 30-day retreats. So I was well
Wow.
skilled in meditation because I'd already been doing meditation in the Hindu system starting in 75 with Muktananda.
With who?
So yeah, Muktananda. You ever heard of him? He died years ago.
Wow.
Swami Muktananda.
Yeah.
He had a center at Ganeshpuri, which was very close, in fact, to Igatpuri, where the Goenka place was. We were probably 50, 100 men or something there, in
Ah.
the state of Maharashtra.
Mm.
So I know the Goenka method quite well.
Mm. And what do you think about the retreats now?
Well, probably the more important thing is to say that I did not have as much as I was around him. I never had a real relationship with him.
Yeah.
That in fact he associated mostly with Indians and spoke mostly Hindi.
Mm.
It was when I got to watch Suan Mo that I found real connections with Achan Po, Achan Bika Buddhadasa, Achan Lee, some other monks, but mostly Achan Po. He cared about me. He looked after me. He
Mm.
taught me. I felt at home. I felt belonged. And I didn't get that when I was with Goenka.
Mm.
In fact, all I was in my regard to being around him, I do remember him chewing me out.
Uh,
But you're asking about the retreats.
mm,
And what I would say is that I left Goenka because I could tell that his teachings were not complete. He went up to a certain level, and then he would go up to that level, and then he would go up to that level, and he'd go up to that level, and he never went any further. But what the level that he came up to was not liberating. He could have gone up to a certain level and kept it really simple and gone up to a certain level. And if it was liberating, that would have been enough. Because what he taught was not liberating. It was ordinary Dhamma. The Dhamma comes in two levels. It comes from the ordinary level, the beginner's level, and then there is the noble or supramundane level. That which is above the world, the really liberating Dhamma.
did you say super mundane?
Supra-mundane.
Supra. So what is that? Supra mundane.
Well, it is the word that is translated from is lokatara, which means to be above the world. To be supra-mundane means to be above the mundane, to be above the ordinary, to be above ordinary Buddhism.
Interesting. I didn't know. Supra. So that's different to super, I guess. What does supra mean? Supra.
Supra? It's like the same thing as super. They just spell it sutra.
Oh, okay.
S-U-P-E-R versus S-U-P-R-A is supramundane Dhamma. I used to spell it supramundane and got spelling errors.
Yeah. Super probably is better because you could see super mundane as being like extra mundane.
Well,
you know, like
actually, it's very, very misunderstood. The mistake is supernatural. Okay? Because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for something supernatural. The supramundane is actually more natural than mundane. The mundane is not really, actually the mundane world is actually a delusional, dreamy world, where the mundane looks at the world and says, oh, this is mundane, oh, there's not much to it here, oh, I can't fit in, oh, I can find this, back, and the other problem, oh, let me join this political party so we can fix the world. All right?
Right, yeah.
And to be above that means to be kind of in paradise.
Yeah. And to be supernatural is natural.
Well, supernatural is magic.
Okay.
It's not natural. It doesn't exist.
No. But in the sense that
vegetation.
In the sense of people wanting to be supernatural.
Well, people want
natural.
Magical powers. They want supernatural powers.
Right, yeah.
And why do they want supernatural powers? Why? Why do people want supernatural powers? There's an answer to it. They want supernatural powers because their only option is the mundane world, and being in a mundane mindset that's wanting escape from that by having magical powers means that you actually want to take control of people.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to control the place with your magical powers. Why else have magical powers if you can't use them to your advantage and somebody else's disadvantage? Okay? But there is supra-mundane power, which is the power of feeling good, wholesome, and being able to spread that wholesomeness to others. And it is a power. The power of feeling good, the power of being your own boss, the power of being able to see right through other people's bullshit.
Yeah.
The power to see right through your own bullshit.
Yeah, that's the main one.
Actually, when you get really good at seeing through your own bullshit, it's actually the secondary skill is that you get good at seeing bullshit in general, no matter where it comes from. Okay. And wanting supernatural powers is part of that bullshit.
Mm.
If you had a choice between being very, very powerful and throwing lightning bolts and standing in the dark and hissing at people and making them afraid versus having a super mundane power where you felt happy and comfortable all the time and people
Mm-mm.
around you felt happy and comfortable.
Mm. But there's something inherently like, also you could say magic about, not magic, but you know what I mean? And not magic in the sense of magic, but magic in the sense of like what people are looking for, you know,
Right. Well,
in the super mundane. But they're
well,
kind of
that's the whole
deluded about
point.
looking for it
Yes.
in different
Okay.
places.
Here's the way of thinking about it. Then is that the society that we live in, for many centuries and continuing onwardly, was heavily influenced by the bullshit magical stories of Christianity.
Mm.
Talking about trinities, heavens, hells, Jesus as the Son of God, and a sky daddy with binoculars, and all of that story, that large, great big story, including prayer and supplication to suck up to the sky daddy and get what you want. I mean, George Carlin,
Yeah, yeah,
a comedian, he's really great at
yeah.
that, like that, talking about prayer. Pray? You want God to change his plan for you? He's had a plan for 20 million years, and you want him to change your plan, his plan? That's a pretty interesting way of talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, prayer, wanting something, Aunt Susie is laying there on the bed dying, and you go to the church to pray, oh, God, make her better. God's going to kill the old bitch. That's
Shit.
his plan. People
Yeah.
die in old age.
Bloody God.
So, all of that stuff that we've been fed, all of this Christianity stuff, greatly, even though if you've never been a Christian, never been to a church, you're still weighted down with 10,000 rules that came from that magical story system.
Yeah. I was raised Christian-ish, and my grandparents are Catholic, so yeah,
Well,
I'm
they've got
aware.
their own unique way of looking at it, but I was raised Southern Baptist, hardcore.
Ooh.
Ooh, hardcore.
Yeah.
You've
Preacher.
heard the stories about every time the church door opened, my family was there.
I haven't heard that, no.
Okay, well that's part of the story. Except that in my family, my mom was the one who had the key to the church, so I was there at the church before it was opened.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you've got some personal experience.
Yeah.
What
And
what
I
strain
didn't
of
buy it. That's the thing that's very interesting. I was kind of lucky
ah,
because when I was really, really young, about the age of 3, my
yeah.
mom was a church worker doing the nursery, and she had to hang around until all the people stopped their chatting after church to come pick up their brats. And so she got to go home last, and I wanted to go home. And I started to cry because I wasn't getting my way. And so she says, well, if you cry enough, you can row yourself home in a boat. And when she said that to me, I made the decision that my mom cares more about the church than she did about me.
Mm,
And I had solid evidence of that being true until my
yeah.
late adulthood.
Yeah.
Okay, that she did. She cared about the church more than she did me. And I
Yeah.
knew that from the time that I was about 3 years old, which put me in competition with the church. So I did not buy every story. I argued every story. I became quite a Bible scholar by the time I was 12.
Wow.
And I'd argue with them. In fact, when I went to university, I took ancient Greek so that I could really argue with them.
That's brilliant. Yeah. It's funny. My memories of the church were actually like um I kind of did buy it when I was a kid. So like
You kind of bought into it, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have memories of like looking at, because churches are so beautiful, which doesn't help, especially where I grew up in England. You know, it's just like very, I don't know, it was a good experience. So, you know, in my subconscious, I do have a kind of secret desire for it all to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That those things that they tell us, that's all of these magical stories with all of these magical powers that magical beings have,
Mm-hmm.
we get into the lust for that kind of stuff and
Mm.
wind up being disappointed our whole lives if we want that stuff,
Mm.
which gives rise to some pretty spectacular weird things, like a real dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
really love Jesus and you want Jesus to
Yeah.
come save you, and you
Yeah.
spend years and years on your knees praying to Him, and
Yeah.
He never answers. He never gets back to you.
It's crazy. It's interesting. I mean, I actually had a phase when I was 21 where I was like, prior to this, I was meditating a lot, and I had a few kind of acid trips, and I was just getting very like kind of a bit too spiritual. And then I was getting into kind of like reading about like more shamanism type stuff and more like magic type stuff and Aleister Crowley and like
That's
Edgar
where we
Casey.
go.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what New Agey is all about.
Yeah,
We've
yeah, yeah.
gone into
But
tarot cards and
yeah, what happened?
prestidigitation, all kinds of magical stuff.
I basically got spooked, and probably mostly because of these a couple acid trips I had, which were
Hmm.
bad. And so then I kind of got hijacked a bit into Christianity for like probably like 10 months of like really reading the Bible and like I was start just being like, okay, I think this might be real because of my roots, you know, it's just like and it felt real. I had like experiences where like I was like, whoa, you know, I felt
Uh-huh.
like I heard like a voice or like the spirit.
Right. But here's the point
Yeah.
is that all came out of your own mind anyway.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
have to come to understand that. That in fact,
yeah,
getting on with it, the reason then, with all of that stuff with about Christianity and all of that, that's when the people who come to meditation, they want to see it as a magical kind of meditation, and that's one of the things
yeah,
that Goenka's people would have
yeah,
was getting the ideas that there's going to be magical things happen because I'm doing a
yeah,
magical meditation.
yeah, yeah.
And so I'm actually kind of against the word meditation, and I certainly would never call myself a meditation teacher.
Mm,
And what I teach, in fact, what I give for free is friendship and Dhamma.
mm.
And so
I like that.
why?
Yeah,
Because those things are real. But meditation has expectations to it. And sometimes those expectations are not real. With people saying, oh, I've been meditating for 50 years and you can't tell me anything about meditations, where in fact, the guy who's been practicing 50 years has been practicing wrong for 50
mm-hmm.
years.
Mm,
Why? Because he wants something out of the meditation. That's why he's claiming 50 years. In fact, 50 years, Mr. Common Machine, 50 years now I've been putting into this stuff. Where's my reward? Was what he,
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
way that they think, is they're looking for a reward for meditation rather than understanding that right
Mm,
bloody now we can have that reward.
bloody
Right
hell.
now.
Yeah.
Right now, that's what we're doing is let's get the reward for our practice right now, as well as develop the skill to do it even better next time.
And how do we approach this sense of like getting something out of a meditation or anapanasati? Like, because there is the
Relaxation,
aspect.
comfort, loss of fear, the
Okay.
gaining of satisfaction, the losing of dissatisfaction.
So
This
we
is
do
the
have
teaching of the Buddha.
we have things to gain, but it's like we're not desperate for them. Is that how we go about it?
Yes, that Henry David Thoreau in his book Walden pointed out that everybody goes around living lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
And what anapanasati is let's practice being out of our desperation right now.
Yeah.
By the way, if you look at that word desperation, it actually has the word separation in it. That we're desperate because we're separated.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment to become unified and whole again. Let's get in a state of unification of the mind, which is what the word samadhi actually means.
Mm.
It means bringing together, rather than the word concentration means to take things apart. You're trying to get down to the essence. If you really want to know what makes a clock tick, it's the spring. So let's take the spring and throw all the rest of the clock away. That's concentration kind of meditation. Because if we get down to the spring, we get down to the essence, then we'll know the real meditation, and I'll get my reward for the meditation. And all you've got is a part of the clock.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the whole
get rich quick kind of thing. Get rich quick. You know, just
practice 50 years so that you can get your reward quickly.
Yeah.
That's a lot of clock winding, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Man.
Okay, so all of this goes back into that point that you were asking me about Goenka's retreat system.
Yeah.
Okay, that it gives people a lot of expectations about stuff while it's not really a complete teaching. Goenka never talked about the 7 factors of enlightenment. In fact, he didn't talk about the 4 Noble Truths and the 8 Noble Path.
Mm.
He even took the word sati out of Anapana.
Mm.
He did talk about the Satipatthana. He even has a separate course on it. But he never completes it in the sense of the full practice of Anapanasati, which I've been talking about and mentioning to you, but I haven't specifically dotted the I's and put the labels in place, which we'll do.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to gladden the mind is changing the mind state by changing the language that we're using. Yeah. Getting your body comfortable and relaxed. And yet much of the meditation is all about putting the body into stress, sitting in weird postures for long times, etc. To where the Buddha talks about getting the body relaxed. In breathing, out breathing, long, slow, easy breathing. And then step 3 is knowledge of the body, which is where Goenka just goes right down on that body scanning. Let's get that body. Let's really know that body. I'm kind of glad that I did so much of that body scanning.
Yeah.
Because it taught me how to actually relax, though Goenka's never didn't have the point. The body scanning for Goenka was the body scanning. And some magical ingredient later, rather than doing the body scanning in order to relax the body right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a lot of the meditation systems work in the same realm. Vipassana retreats and whatnot like that.
Yeah.
That basically you could say that all of those systems, including Goenka's, uses an incomplete 8-fold noble path. They have a 2-fold noble path, or a two-point path. What is that? Is to wake up and take a look, see the dukkha. If the mind wanders away from the breath, come back. But that's more of right effort. And what the real point is missing is the right effort. For instance, the last time that we talked, you wanted to get it right. You wanted to understand it completely before you do it. Right? You remember that part? Okay. Well, that's not taking the right effort. The taking the right effort is to make a change. And the Vipassana, the Mahasi method, and the Goenka method is not based upon that change model that's built right into the 8-fold Noble Path. To take the right effort to make a change, to come out of the wholesome, out of the unwholesome, into the wholesome.
Yeah.
Which is what we started talking about right from the very beginning, to start having wholesome things happening right from the instant that you wake up until right before you go to sleep. When you're in bed. So let's stay in the wholesome.
We never really, as long as we are able to recognize something as being unwholesome, then we immediately relax.
Aha, I see ya.
Yeah,
Right. When it's unwholesome, we're tense. And as soon as we see it, a lot of people will get more tense. Oh, I should not be this
yeah,
tense.
yeah.
But the real trick is that when you see that tension, you can say, ah, I see that. And now we can relax.
Okay, okay.
This
So
is
we
subtle.
see that,
Hmm.
and that's it. Is that it? Is there more to it?
Well,
That's it.
the next time you're in dukkha, isn't that going to be enough to get you back out of it? And how about down the road again, you get into
Yeah,
dukkha?
I guess so.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Do,
right.
do you
So
do
why
you
should
do
you
you
want
take a
any
breath?
more than that?
Do you take a breath?
Yes, of course. That's one of the ingredients is to take a
Okay.
deep, long breath and exhale and relax.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of other senses, are you doing that on a more like global scale, like, in terms of exhaling, inhaling, exhaling? Do you kind of do that with your body as well? Just kind of
Well, how can you take a deep
relaxing?
breath without changing the body?
Yeah, okay.
How can you take a deep breath? Of course, it's all
Yeah.
interrelated.
So as much as possible, almost, you're just going to the extent at which you kind of can. You relax, like you're relaxing all your senses.
Well,
Yeah,
let's talk about that next time.
yeah, okay,
Not necessarily relaxing the senses,
yeah,
making
no,
them alert.
okay, making them alert.
Stop thinking about other stuff that are not in the senses and start thinking about the senses instead.
Mm, yeah, alert,
To be
switched
alert,
on.
hmm to be up, to have wise attention.
Yes, and also not desperate, and also not tense.
Well, that desperation and the tenseness has to do with the fact that you don't have something that you want and need. So let's come out of that wanting and needing
Yeah,
because then the tension will relax. This
yeah,
is
I,
why
I
we
think
say
that's it.
everything
Yeah,
is okay right now. I don't need anything. Isn't it nice right now? Everything is just fine.
and then say I'm really hungry, and I kind of feel like I need food, and it's a bit harder. I mean, you
Well,
still do it, but it
no.
just feels a bit
Saying,
different.
hey, I can handle this. It's
Yeah,
only hunger. It's not a big deal.
yeah. That's something like that's probably more practice where you could probably get more comfortable after it.
Well, that's what the
Time.
monks actually practice eating one meal a day so that when
Yeah,
those times come when they are hungry, they can say, I'll get food. I'll be okay. It's
yeah,
just a grumbling in the stomach. It's not a big deal.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
only a big
Mm.
deal when you're hungry and you don't like it and you're paying attention to it and you'll do anything to get food, including eating too
Mm.
fast.
I heard about this monk who burned his finger off. It's like
You what?
he burned his fingers off, like two of his fingers or something. Um, I don't know.
Because of food eating?
No, because of just like being a monk. I don't know, just being ascetic or
No.
something.
No monk that I know of, no bhikkhu who is practicing the
No,
teaching of
I
the
don't know.
Buddha does direct dukkha, direct harm to themselves for any reason,
Yeah,
including tattoos.
yeah. I think it was. I don't know his name, but I just heard from some other person who's he might have been maybe like Zen or something, Zen monk
Well,
or
there are
Japanese.
stories of people harming themselves because they're not satisfied with their practice.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
want something. They want it desperately enough to harm themselves.
yeah. Is it like kind of they think that they're speeding up their
Yeah,
karma?
that's exactly what the Jains practice. Self-flagellation. The Buddha practiced it too and found that it was dangerous. Right.
Yeah,
You've seen statues sometimes of the
yeah.
starving Buddha or the fasting Buddha.
Mm.
Yeah, so he did it big time and he gave it up, started eating. because he recognized that he wasn't getting any value out of it. The story is that, okay, we're doing our best right now to have good behavior now, but we still have the results of old bad karma. So let's flagellate ourselves and hurt ourselves now to burn up that old bad karma quickly. And the answer to that is you're not burning up any old bad karma when you do that. You're just creating new bad karma right now. Why should you worry about old bad karma? How do you even know there is any old bad karma? That's in Sutra number 101. And their answer was that, our teacher Mahavira, which was known as Naganakaputta, told us that you do have old bad karma, but the monks themselves who were practicing those austerities, they didn't know for sure that they had old bad karma that they needed to burn off. You don't know. What we do know is what's happening right now. Let's practice correctly right now. Yeah. Let's get ourselves in a really nice state right now, so if old bad karma comes up, I can handle it. I can do it just fine.
Is that also partly because it's just too complex to work out what your old karma was? That story?
Well, it's not that it's complex. Complex sounds like that you got 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 data points. It's not complex. It's completely ignorant. You've got no data. None. Zip. Nilch. All you have is stories by old men who don't know what they're talking about, but they make a lot of money off of it. You call them rabbis and mullahs and preachers and priests.
But don't
they don't know? They don't know either. They don't know nothing.
But I mean, like my own memories though of old. But
those are just things that happen in your mind right now. They are not old memories. You're the one who calls them old memories, when in fact they're not old memories. They're just dreams.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep.
You don't know if that stuff's true or not. You got no way to verify it. So you call it memory. That in fact we often have memories of things that didn't exist. I think her name was Janet Reno. Have you ever heard that name?
No.
She was the main prosecutor in the city of Miami, Florida, in the 1980s, and she had a lot of convictions of child molestation and rape.
Yeah.
And then she was the Attorney General under Clinton. And a lot of the women who, at the age of 13, had memories of Uncle Sam or Uncle George raping them, and then in their 20s, they started to talk to some of the other girls who also were rape victims, and put together that the social workers, the police, and all of that crowd talked them into having been raped. That they were talked into having memories that didn't happen. So much for your memories of a past life. They exonerated let go a lot of Uncle George's because the girls recanted that they were talked into it. They didn't have those memories. They weren't memories. They were suggestions.
So do we say then from that, it kind of feels like, well, and I have heard this before, the past isn't real? Is that kind of where we're going with this?
Well, it's not. The past is not real. It's dead.
I guess so, yeah.
You can't go dig up the past. If that cup falls off onto the floor and breaks, you cannot wish it back together again. You can't take the cup back into the past where it was a whole cup. Now, it's shattered.
It's weird because it feels like in my mind I see things as mostly, and I intellectually understand that, but I see things as mostly either the past or the future. When you think of a timeline and you think of now,
right.
Here is like, well, that's what now is nothing compared to.
Except that the past and the future are really nothing, and right now is everything. Because you're going from right now to right now to right now. You cannot get out of right nows. You are imprisoned by right now. You cannot go off into the future, ere how you desire to. Ere how much they want to have time travel, they don't have it. Ere how we try to relive the past of the golden age, make America great again, and all that kind of stuff is trying to live in a past that's not real anymore. That in fact their memories are not real. The memories of the past good times, they were not good. Make America great again. Think about it. When was America ever great?
Yeah.
We have had one bad president after another. Now we've had 46 bad presidents. We'll never get a good one. Give up on having good presidents. Give up on trying to make America great. Can you make this moment great?
So with the past, you're imprisoned by things that aren't real. Sorry, the now, with the now. You're so you're not really in prison, right? But just as a way of expressing it, it can feel, if you are invested in time.
Well, the present can be a prison if you're trying to escape to the past, because you can't get there.
Yeah.
You try to escape into the future, but you can't get there. The past and the future doesn't exist. It once existed, but it's over now. But this here now is still here now. And we move from one moment in the present to the next moment in the present moment.
Yeah. There's an Amazonian tribe that, and this really hurts my mind to think about, but there's some tribe, I think, in the Amazon, who see the past as in front of us and the future as behind us. Have you heard about this kind of thing?
Why don't you think that that neither the past nor the future matter enough to try to put it into a position?
Yeah. Well, that kind of like makes that point that it's like there is no actual direction. You know, they have the past as like, we're going forward into the past, you know.
Well, that's just delusionary thinking.
Yeah.
That's wishful thinking, trying to gain some magical power over the past, where in fact the past is dead.
Yeah.
Can you be happy right now, regardless of what past you've had?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the distinction then, and I'll make this and then let's finish, and that is the distinction between punishment versus retribution, or let's say not retribution, rehabilitation. Because you can rehabilitate yourself now, but punishment is based upon the past. You did something then, and now you've got to pay for it, where in fact you're not even the same person that you were that did the deed. The question is, can you rehabilitate so that you can behave correctly now? And one of the best ways of behaving correctly right now is to forget about the past, because it's gone. That in fact an experiment would be to go around to the people that you have harmed and talk to them about it, because many times they'll say, oh, well, I don't even remember. You remember things that happened when you hurt people, but they've forgotten all about it.
I feel a bit sad about the past. Like just
but
how
you've
it's all
got
gone.
this present moment that's so much better. Get over that. Yeah, be sad about the past. It's dead. Go have a funeral already. But let's make that funeral awake, where we could celebrate. We can celebrate that whatever happened in the past got us here. It didn't kill you. Ere how bad or ere how good your past was, it didn't kill you. You're still alive. Thank you very much, Mr. Past. Goodbye.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And be here now. Because anytime you're thinking of the past, you're trying to dig up something. And you wind up feeling bad.
I don't know what I'm doing, actually. I'm thinking about like just...
Well, you were taught to do it. Do you know somebody who in the West, in the normal mundane world, Who doesn't do that? This is the difference between the mundane. The mundane dig up the past.
Yeah.
They plot the future.
Ah.
The mundane is to live in the present moment, that this is good. So rehabilitate. Let's not punish ourselves because of what we did in the past. Let's celebrate. And then say goodbye.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Daddy,
hello.
I'm glad you had me, and I'm glad you're dead now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Good.
Well, we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And we'll continue on. I don't even think we got to all your questions.
No, I didn't really have any questions. I'll make up some for the next
Yeah,
episode.
you'll make up something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All
As
right.
always. All right.
Okay.
See ya. Have a good one.
We'll see you, Freddie. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.